Hello, hello, hello. What is good, everyone? Hi, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. How is it? And welcome to another episode of the weekly download. My name is Mitchell Dumlao, and I appreciate you for joining me today, as always, and learning a thing about video production, owning a video business, and just building a video career after years of experience, even going to film school and working with some of the world's top brands. And so today we're going to talk about live streaming, which I'm doing right now, right? And the importance of knowing the type of tools that you need in order for you to live stream for other clients and also for yourself. Live streaming right now is ubiquitous when it comes to social media platforms offering the live feature as part of the native app. And I think that for you, you really need to figure out how to utilize live streaming as part of your offer when you are talking to companies, because they are more and more often these days looking for ways to either live stream an event or live streaming some sort of webinar, or even if it's something like creating some sort of internal Q&A with their employees. And so for me, what I've done a lot of when it comes to live streaming is that I've used live streaming for myself, but also for other companies. So about 2 weeks ago, I did a live streaming project, and a client of mine asked me to actually live stream their coaching program for the weekend. And so what I did is that I had two cameras, and I also had three mics, a wireless lavalier, and then two handheld mics, so that the speaker could have a mic that they can attach to themselves and walk around freely. And at the same time, the participants or the students had two mics to pass around. So it was a very, not a really intricate setup, because I was at another event last week where it was a full live streaming and broadcast setup. But I wanted to give you some of the tips that I learned when I had a two camera setup for live streaming. And so what I used was the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro, and it's a live switcher. And so when it comes to live streaming, you need to have a switcher or a device or a software that switches in between camera angles live. You know, when you watch a sports event or if you watch a live TV show, you're going to see the switching of camera angles. And so there's usually a team behind that, and a producer, an executive producer or a director saying, hey, switch to camera 2, switch to camera 5 or whatnot, play graphics here. And so what's great is that you actually get a free software called OBS Live, which allows you to do this all for free. Actually, you can have your own green screen background, you can have your own graphics, you can even have your own lower thirds, and you can switch between camera angles. Now, the thing about OBS Live is that there are some delays, and it's kind of tough to rely on a software when you're live switching, because there are things that may happen when it comes to either Wi-Fi or your computer not being fast enough. There's just been a lot of problems and errors that I've gone through, and having a live switcher is very important. And so with an Blackmagic, I was able to connect two cameras to the Blackmagic. And so if you're going to do a professional video shoot, you have to get yourself a video capture card or a switcher. And so if it's only one camera angle, you can get a Camlink 4K. You can get another Blackmagic. You can also get offshoot models. I have a Pyle, Pyle, which basically takes an HDMI out from my Panasonic GH5, puts it into this little video interface, and then it takes that signal and into a USB, and I plug it into my computer, right? And so the same thing is with a switcher. When you have a switcher, you're going to have different HDMI outputs coming out from cameras that are going to go into this switcher, and then you can actually toggle back and forth from camera angles. So you have up to 4 cameras in a Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro. Okay, I liked it. It was very great to use because you can also control the sounds and the volume of the microphones. And so when you have a setup like this, you need to have also your audio figured out. And so what I've learned from somebody who actually rented the Blackmagic to me, and also from throughout the weekend, is that you get a delay. And when you watch this video, I'm not sure if in live you see a delay, but you'll see a delay with my audio as well as the video. And the reason why is because the signal from the camera and the signal from the mic, they're both going into two different inputs. And so there is a delay depending on the settings in the camera and the technology and the hardware. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that if you have mics at a live streaming event, it's actually better to plug your mics into your camera, because your camera, if it's delayed on the camera, at least your mic is going to be delayed with your camera. So rather than just having your mics plugged into another audio interface or another audio mixer, what happens is you have to create a delay. Either it has to be a little later or sooner than how the signal that comes into the computer or whatever, like hard drive that you have or whatever, hardware that you have. And what you really need to realize is that with mics and everything, and when you plug it into your camera, you have to figure out the connections. So if you have an XLR cable coming from a handheld mic, you need an XLR to a 3.5 millimeter cable to go into your Lumix or into your camera. And so there are different ways that you can, patch and, daisy chain all of these different cables. But the main thing you got to know is that whatever camera you're using, you got to know what your audio input is, and then figure out how you're going to take that audio and record that audio and then have it stream into your actual computer. And so you can actually stream from the Blackmagic without a computer, but that's a whole other topic that I'm actually not very experienced with, because I always use a computer. And so another thing you got to know about sound is that usually the audio that comes into the 3.5 millimeter input in your camera is not really the best. And so what I figured out actually during my streaming is that I actually took a Zoom H4n or any type of sound recorder, and then I actually plugged in the two handheld mics into the Zoom H4n. And then what I did is that I actually connected the headphone or the line out with a 3.5 millimeter aux cord into the camera. And so what that did is basically took the audio from the two mics, and it also gave it basically the power for the mic. So they actually sounded, they were powered by the actual Zoom H4n. Sometimes mics need to have some sort of power source to power the mic. And when I actually connected that into my camera, it gave me an extra mixer to mix my sound. Okay. And so from there, you have your camera, you have your sound, and then you have your switcher. And something else that you need to really be mindful of is the type of setup that you have for live streaming. So what's your program? What's your software? And so are you using Zoom? Are you using Facebook Live? Are you using YouTube? Are you doing Instagram? Whatever it is, you need to know what the specifications are for that platform when it comes to your camera and your live switcher. All right. So for my project, and what my client was using was Zoom. And so I had Zoom open, and what I did is I connected the Blackmagic to the computer through USB cable. And then from there, I just went to the camera option in Zoom, and I clicked on Blackmagic when it came into the source of the camera. And same thing when it was asking for my mic, the source audio was coming from the Blackmagic. And so I didn't have any delay when it came to sound. All right. So this is if you're live streaming to Zoom. But let's say right now I'm live streaming to Facebook. I'm also live streaming to YouTube at the same time. And the way I'm doing that is I'm using Restream or Restream.io. And it's an app or a software that's web-based. And what it does is that it takes the feed from OBS Live, and then it's able to actually stream on multiple platforms. For me, it's Facebook and YouTube. Now, when it comes to OBS, this is a whole other tutorial again, because it's a pretty robust app and software. And what's great about OBS is that it's free and also has a lot of tools and a lot of features. And so what I'm doing is that I'm taking my camera and I'm putting it into my Pile video card, and it's going to go through a USB cable into my computer. And then on Restream or on OBS, I pick the Pile or the video interface as a video source. And then I connect this, which is my microphone, and I put it through a USB into my computer. And then what I do is that I choose this mic as my audio input. And so from there, I have my sound, I have my video, and then the whole setup of going to Restream is quite simple. What you do is that you connect the key, and you basically have this code that makes sure that you are streaming to the right account. Okay, and so you have a Facebook key, there's also a YouTube one, and then you have it all in your OBS where you're basically sending it to Restream, and Restream delivers it to multiple platforms. I even have a crazier setup where I have a hack I found online where it allows me to actually broadcast my my live stream onto multiple Facebook pages, and I can actually show you that in another tutorial. And so with that, you're able to go on multiple platforms using Restream. So that's great if you have a client that wants to be streaming on Zoom, they want to be streaming on YouTube, they want to stream on Facebook. When it comes to Instagram, there is no connection in between the Restream, and also I don't believe at this moment that you can actually stream from your camera into some kind of software that would then stream onto Instagram, you know. And so what I want you to also know too is that there's another platform called Twitch. And if you don't know what Twitch is, look that up, because that actually uses the OBS software pretty well. And so those are the tools that I use, and those are the equipment. That's the equipment that I use when it comes to streaming. And again, when it comes to professionally streaming, you should have some sort of switcher. You should have long HDMI cables. You should have long mic cables, or even seriously invest into wireless microphones. What you do have to be very, very mindful of is that with wireless microphones, there's battery life. And I hate this because in the middle of the shoot, I would have a lav lose the mic, and then you would have to, stop the presenter in the middle of their shoot, in the middle of their speech, in order to change the mic so you're actually grabbing the audio for the live audience and for the recording. All right. And so again, you really have to make sure that you know what you're shooting, if you have enough battery life. And if it's a long shoot, I prefer having wired mics that have long cables. And then for a lav, just have or wireless mics, just have extra batteries on deck that are already charged. You can just quickly, switch out the batteries or switch out the mic, right? Already have a mic that's already charged and ready to go. And then other than that, I would actually also invest in different types of lenses to make sure that you have the right focal length. Let's say that your live streaming like station is pretty far from the speaker. Have long lenses, 70 to 100s or whatnot, and make sure that you also have the master shot, which captures everything, and you're also following whatever the speaker is doing with your detail shot. All right. And then on top of that, when you do have, all of this, put together, make sure you have a fast computer, okay? Because I was dealing with this as well. If you're live streaming, you need a fast computer, and you need to also have strong Wi-Fi. So you need a location scout before you do anything when it comes to live streaming, because Wi-Fi is very important. And then one last tip that I've learned as well is that you need to monitor the sound as a participant. So what that means is that if you have a Zoom live stream, you shouldn't just monitor the sound that's coming from the camera or from the switcher, because you're not seeing the actual live streaming from the participant's point of view, which is very important, because you want to know if the people that are watching are actually hearing the speaker or seeing the camera angle that you're trying to show. And so what I would do is I would take my phone, and then I would send myself the invite or the link, and then I would then use my phone as a participant and log into the actual room. And from there, I would just put in my headphones, I will look at the screen and use it as my monitor. There you have your actual live stream from a participant's point of view with your participant's audio, so you can understand, okay, there's an echo going on. Oh, there's someone's mic is turned on. Oh, the camera isn't working. It's much better to do that than to monitor and using the streams or whatnot coming from the camera or from the switcher. So just another tip that I learned when I've had to do this 2 weekends ago, and I had no idea that someone's mic wasn't on. All the levels were coming in to the switcher, but for some reason it wasn't coming into into the actual Zoom room. So it's very important to do that. All right. And so again, I use a Panasonic GH5. I have HDMI out. I have a Blackmagic AT-EM Mini Pro that I use for a switcher. And then when it comes to mics, I had two Shure handheld mics with long XLR cables. And I also had a wireless lavalier that I got from Amazon. And I used Zoom for that whole setup. But right now I'm using OBS Live, and using OBS Live to actually send a signal over to Restream, and Restream.io then sends the signal to YouTube and Facebook, so I can basically live stream to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And I have a special hack where I'm actually live streaming to multiple pages at the same time using OBS and Restream. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. I know that was a lot to take in, but live streaming is going to be even a bigger ask from a lot of clients, because now that we have in-person meetings and networking and conferences, people want to be able to have in-person conferences, but also utilize Zoom and live streaming to either have a recording or to do it so that they can offer a lower ticket price for people who want to tune in. And also, before I go, also remember that if you're recording, that's very important. So if your client is recording or asking for the recording, you have to see if you have enough card space on your cameras, and if your cameras can actually keep recording continuously for hours. And you also have to make sure that the Zoom that you're recording is also being recorded to a hard drive that has enough space. Okay, so clear up your hard drive space, or have an external hard drive and set your Zoom settings so that you're recording to a hard drive, so you don't run out of space in the middle of a live stream, right? So whenever you're recording, figure out whether you're going to be recording into the camera or through Zoom, or you can actually record through the Blackmagic, but I've been advised that it's better and easier to do it through the cameras and also through Zoom. And also just make sure that when you are recording, you have enough battery life and you have enough space on your cards. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. There's a lot to take in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Mitchel Dumlao. This is Video Content School, and this is the weekly download. And every single week, I have a live stream where I teach you everything that I know to help you grow your video business, get more clients, or build your business or your career in the video space. And I just appreciate you for being here. And if you like this video, please like, comment, also share this with anyone you think will find this helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or send me an email at mitchel@videocontentschool.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.